Today, I'm going to make some homemade applesauce out of some great apples we got down at my parents' place. And I'm also going to water bath those. So it's kind of a two-stepper. You don't have to can or water bath your applesauce. You can just follow the beginning part and have homemade applesauce. I'm going to take it all the way through to the end. I've got quite a few apples here. There might be a couple other things I have to do with that. But just so you know, for the first part of actually making homemade applesauce and the way that I'm going to do it today, obviously I need a knife and a cutting board. I have a bowl of water here with just a splash of lemon juice in there to keep them from browning. I'm going to be doing it by using a food mill. So that's how I'm going to do it. I know there's other ways you can do it. You can continue to cook them down and all that. But this is saves a lot of time. I like my food mill. Definitely worth the money, especially if you ever want to do tomato sauce. The attachment that I have now is just basically for like tomato sauce and applesauce, but you can buy other attachments. You can actually do salsa and everything else in here. And I'll show you how to hook this all up and get it going once we get that far. And then to make your applesauce too, you're going to have to cook it down a little bit and get them soft before you put it through there. So I just got a pot with a little bit of water in there. We'll go through that at that time. The second step, I'm going to be water bathing them. So after I've run them through the mill, the other stuff that you're going to need is going to be a water bath. You're going to need, I'm doing pints today, so you're going to need pints with the lids and the rims. I'm going to wash these out. They're new, but I'm going to wash them out as those are cooking down. A couple other things you're going to need is your jar lifter. I use this to get the air bubbles out. We have this to fill. This will go in the jar of your funnel. I'm going to use this to fill the jars. We got our lid lifter here. This is going to, because you got to heat your lids up. So you don't want to stick your fingers in here. There's a little magnet on the bottom. It'll lift your lids up. And I have a special brush that I only use for cleaning my jars. I don't care how many other episodes he has said she uses it to clean the toilet. I do not. I'm big on sanitation. But the first step is just to get the apples cut. So these are pesticide free. My parents do not spray. So I'm just going to give them a little bit of wash. We've had them here for about a week now. And since I'm using the food mill or the food strainer, whatever you want to call it, you just cut the little end off, the stem off, and we're going to go ahead and toss that out to the animals, waste not, want not, or in our compost pile. And then you just go ahead and you can leave the seeds in there and everything, and we're just going to chunk this up. Doesn't matter if the seeds are in there or not. That food strainer is going to take that out, food mill, whatever you want to call it. I've heard people call it a couple different things. And you get to leave the peels on too. You can take the peels off. It'll make your applesauce a little bit more whiter, I guess pure looking for nowadays standards. I like to leave it on there. This is going to add a lot more nutrition and nutrients into your applesauce. And the strainer will, when we put it through the food mill, it'll take that off. It might give it kind of a rosy pink color. That's okay with me because if anything, that nutrition is going to be worth it. And then I'm just going to soak them in here as I cut up the rest of the apples. So that's kind of how you get the apples cut up. I'm going to go ahead, cut up the rest of the apples, and I will catch up with you after that. Thank you. I got my apples diced up. I got them in here with just a little bit of water in the bottom just so they don't stick. I know this probably isn't going to make a ton, but look at me, wait until last minute of the day. We're already at like 4:40 at night. So I'm just going to stop here so I can get this done, show you the rest of the way to do this. I can always do more later, and I'm sure I'll have to have plenty of apples left. We're going to want to cook this on a lower heat. We don't want them to scorch. If this scorches in here, it's going to ruin the whole batch. So I just have it on a lower heat, and you're going to want to stir them once in a while. We're just going to want to try to get them to where they're soft. They don't have to be like falling apart soft because of the food mill that we're going to use. It'll take care of that. So we're just going to kind of heat them on a low heat until they're soft and stirring once in a while. Once these are soft, I'm going to catch up with you. I'll show you how to get this hooked up and how to use that. And I will check in with you at that point. So the apples are ready. Got them sitting in the sink here. I just wanted to kind of run through the spray, hand the camera over to Mike, just to kind of show you the setup a little bit. You're going to want to see your own directions to see how to actually set this up, how to put it together. But one thing is you just want to make sure it's flush against here. It's locked in there nice and tight. I mean, this is not going anywhere. You're gonna wanna make sure that you got a bowl here, and that's what's gonna catch our applesauce, and then a bowl there, because this is what's gonna catch the rest of it. So I'm gonna go ahead, hand the camera over to Mike, and show you how to use it. So we got our apples, and we're just gonna put them in. You don't wanna overfill it, just a little bit. You got a plunger here, so I'm just putting the apples in. And then I know some of them are motorized. This one is a crank one, so you're just gonna wanna kind of push down as you crank. And I'm just gonna kind of show you the gist so you can kind of see some of this that actually happens here. And then what you wanna keep is what's coming out of here. And a couple more scoops here. You'll see all the peels come out the back end if I can get them in there. These are real soft apples, so. Just trying to get to where you see some coming out the end there. There we go. I think one more scoop and you're gonna really see what this takes out, so you don't have to worry about leaving them peels on, the seeds in there. I barely put any water in the bottom. These must be extra juicy apples. I don't know how much we're gonna get out of this can. Like I said, leave it to me. Wait till the end of the day and you can kind of see that rosy pink coming through there now. Just so you don't have to sit with me the whole time. I mean, there it is. You get your peels and everything else out of there. So what you're getting out of here is that applesauce. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these, and I will catch up with you at that point, let you know what you need to do if you're just going to keep it in the fridge, eat it now, if you're going to water bath it, and I will be back once I'm done with the rest of these. I'm all done running them through the food mill, food strainer, whatever you want to call it. This is actually, that's all the stuff. I mean, you can see it takes all the skins out, the seeds out. It just pushes everything right out the end there. I did take the cover off here, that's the slit on there, because you want to make sure and get all that good stuff. There's a lot of stuff that hangs on here, and you just kind of scrape that up. But as you can see, it's not going to be white. We did leave the peels on for this one. It just gives it just a nice rosy color. There's a lot of nutrients that comes out of there when you leave those skins on there. Now, if you're just in this for how to do the homemade applesauce, that would be that. All you'd have to do is, if you want to add any sugar, cinnamon, anything like that, go ahead. These are extremely sweet apples, so I'm not going to add any sugar to it. I thought about adding cinnamon to it, but I'm going to use some of this for baking, replacing butter, stuff like that. Butter can be expensive. These apples were free. Thank you, Mom and Dad. So you can always use that for that. So if you're just watching how to make the applesauce, that's going to be the end of that. If you're in it to see how to can it, I'll be right back with you while I kind of clean up the mess and get set up for water bathing it. If you're wondering how to water bath them, we're going to be onto that step. We're going to have to warm this up. I don't have the burner turned on yet. We just want it hot. This can scorch easily, so I've just kind of got this. It's going to be kind of like you're making gravy. You just want to move it around and get it nice and hot. I mean, it's warm, but during the process of putting it through the food mill, food strainer, it cools down a little bit. We got this at a good simmer. You see the little bubbles coming up. So we're going to be ready to go here. I just need to warm that up. I'm going to turn this back burner on and get my lids warming up. And one thing, I already scrubbed my jars out. You're going to want to check all the tops of these to make sure there's no chips. And you can either run them under hot water, through a dishwasher, on just a hot water cycle. I just like to put hot water in them. It keeps them warm enough. You don't ever want to put something hot in a cold glass jar. That's no good. So I just have those sitting there. All I'm going to do is I'm going to get this warmed up. And once we got that simmering. This is ready to go. We get this warmed up. I'll be back with you and show you the actual process of canning your homemade applesauce in a water bath. We're ready to get these in the water bath, so I'm going to show you how to go ahead and do that. We got a good simmer, starting to be a low boil here. We have our lid simmering. This is nice and hot. We have nice warm jars. We check for any chips. These are very sweet apples. You might think this is going to be a lot of lemon juice. These apples are really sweet. I didn't have to add sugar to these apples. I decided not to add the cinnamon in case I use some of this for baking in the future. So you're going to want to add half a tablespoon of lemon juice into each pint. Now, I only got a tablespoon, so I'm going to kind of eyeball it. It's not going to be a life or death there. So about half a tablespoon. And we're just going to go ahead and ladle that in there. And we're going to want to fill it to right about that bottom little line there. They do have things that measure this. Every time I've done that and used those special tools, it always comes to there. So that's just kind of what I work on. So that looks good there. Now we got that lemon juice in there. We also need to use, I just use a rubber spatula. You definitely don't want to use anything metal to do this. So don't use a butter knife or anything like that. You use something plastic or rubber like the spatula here. And we're just going to kind of go down the sides and get the air bubbles out. Then I like to take a, you can use a rag or a towel, but I like to use paper towels. This is my one little wasteful thing. You're going to want to go around the top of the jar and make sure that is nice and clean. We don't want anything around that rim because it's going to lessen your chances of it sealing. So we're just going to give it a good wipe. It's nice and clean to me. Now we're going to use our lid lifter. We're going to get a lid out of here. Just going to place the lid on top. We're just going to hand tight. Do not over tight. That can cause buckling on your lids. I realized that when I was showing people what not to do, and then my lids buckled. So you got your little lid or your jar lifter here. And we're just going to go ahead and set it in the water bath. Now we got to make sure that this water by the end of this is an inch over the top at least. If it's not, I'm going to have to add a little bit of hot water to it. But I know as you add jars, it rises. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these jarred up, and I'll catch up with you at that point and let you know the next step. I got 4 pints out of that, and there is some left over. It is ready to eat, so Mike's like, oh, breakfast, let's get it in the fridge. And you see that nice rosy color? That's because, like I said, we left the peels on and put them through the food mill. If you take the peels off, it's going to be whiter, but there's a lot of nutrients in that. So we got the water bath. You can see it's at a nice simmer in there. We got it about it. I know it's hard to see this, but I measured. We're a good inch over the tops of them. You got to make sure you get your little basket in the bottom of there. So I'm going to go ahead, and we got this on high right now. I'm just going to go ahead and lid this. Our next step is we want to get it to a rolling boil. I mean, it's got to be boiling. Once it's boiling, and I'll kind of show you that when we get to that point, then for pints, you're going to want to let that go on for 15 minutes before you stop. So a good 15 minutes after that, you're going to turn it off and let it sit for a little bit. And I'll go over all that stuff at the end. Right now, though, I'm just trying to get it to a roaring boil, and once we get to that, I'll just kind of show you what that looks like. And I'll go over the times for pints and quarts again at that time. This is the rolling boil. So that's what you want it to look like. We are going to set our timer for 15 minutes. And I'll show you the next step after that. Getting a little bit of a steam bath here. I bumped the lid a little bit here. It's the 15 minutes are up. As you can see, it's still that rolling boil. That's what we're looking at. At this point now, it's been 15 minutes. We're going to go ahead, turn that off. A little different from canning. We're going to go ahead and lift the lid off of that. We're going to let this sit for 10 minutes before we do anything else. So I'm going to turn this little vent on, suck some of that steam out of there. And in 10 minutes, I'll show you the finished product, and I'll see you then. It's been 10 minutes. We can go ahead and remove the jars. So you're going to want these. This water's hot. It's not a rolling boil, but There you go. We got our 4 pints. Even if the bands seem loose, do not tighten them. And you're going to want to let these sit for 12 hours. And hopefully they'll seal. Or Mike and I are going to have a lot of applesauce to eat. That's that. That's how you make, that's how I make homemade applesauce. And how I can it for later. You got 12 hours. Don't touch the bands. Don't touch them. Just let them sit there. And hopefully they will seal. I don't see any have sealed yet, but they got time. Usually you'll know within an hour if they seal or not. They're still warm. You can chuck them in the fridge and just eat it up. It's still not a waste, but there you go. And please like, share, and subscribe. I know that we got a ton more apples left. I was thinking about maybe doing a little bit of apple butter, crock pot style, and being able to pressure or water bath can that. I also have a big 5-gallon pail of walnuts that still need to be the outside taken off and soaked and dried and hulled and cracked and all that. And I'd like to bring that to you too. And I'm going to have to get on that one pretty fast. But please like, share, and subscribe. I'll keep bringing this to you. If you have any suggestions, anything you want to see, any questions, please let me know. And we'll catch you next time.